This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the very happy president and largest shareholder, I might add, of Kingsmen Resources, Mr. Scott Emerson. Scott, man, you made me wait for those assays, but got an early Christmas gift. Congratulations, sir. You have a brand new discovery of high-grade silver and gold mineralization. And look, I'll be very frank and very direct. I absolutely expected to continue to get good results from the known structures at Las Coloradas. And of course, we have assays pending there. But it was a really, really nice early Christmas present to drill a brand new discovery on a structure that you didn't even know exists. And to top it off, it's gold rich. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, Gerard. Well, number one, thanks, Gerardo. Patience is what you need in this industry, as you know. And just to speak to this new discovery that we had, this was something to, I'm gonna give a shout out here to Kieran Downs, VP of Exploration here, because he had a theory when he looked at the structures on surface and said, there's two structures here that cross, and we've got some geophysics over the area, Scott. I think we should poke a hole in here, and which he did. And this was, a surprise to us because like I say, it's a brand new discovery. We haven't even traced that structure. We didn't know it was there. So for your listeners and people that have been shareholders and have followed the story, we have two structures that we traced for 1.7, 1.4 kilometers. That's Soledad 1 and Soledad 2. That's where the old mine was. Well, now we are fairly confident that we've got possibly a third, which, we're going to do some more work on it here in the new year. And, we haven't seen gold before in the system. And with these gold hits, it just goes to our whole theory of what we were planning to do, and that's our exit strategy. And that, again, adds to what's being produced in the area. So I'll leave it at that.
No, listen, and I want to make sure I provide the proper context here. The discovery hit 931 grams per ton silver equivalent with 1.28 grams per ton gold over 1.6 meters. This is an important point. It was at a depth of 100, and I want to say from 156.4 meters to 158 meters. It was shallow mineralization, right? And again, when you talk about exit strategy, look, you're not a mine builder. You've made it pretty clear that what you want to do is drill this thing out, prove up the silver and now the gold potential, and monetize the asset. You happen to have two districts to do that with. I love the approach and I love the urgency, but it's got to feel real good. The first two holes out of the program, you're hitting high grade and it's shallow.
And it's shallow. And I was going to say, that's not a vertical depth. Vertical depth would be about 125 meters vertically. So it is shallow, which is exciting for us because we think that as we go down the system deeper, that the grades are going to get better.
Now, we know that gold is nearby, right? And we know that the old La Prieta mine has tailings that are being reprocessed there. And we also know that gold is going to want material to continue to feed its machine. And so there's a portion of the release that I don't know was captured by everyone, but you talk about the mineralization believed to be similar to that of the old La Prieta mine. Can you speak as to why that's important this early on?
Well, that's important because when you look at the operation that's processing those old tailings, they've built it specifically to do that, and we know they're processing gold, silver, lead, and zinc. So again, we haven't got to the mineralogy, the metallurgically yet as to what is made up there because we haven't drilled enough, but it gave us confidence to say, hey, look, we're in the same type of system that La Prieta was in. And if you followed us, La Prieta is only 38 kilometers away from where we are currently working. So again, that gives us confidence, and I don't want to be over enthusiastic here, Gerardo, but it just everything started to to come together, I guess. All the pieces have started to come together. And, we started this program with no knowledge, geological knowledge of what was there in the past. We know they had mined there, but this is the first time where we're actually seeing, indications and starting to understand the geology. And that's what's exciting.
This new discovery was drilled 160 meters from the high grade hole, hole 10, right? And so
correct.
We have 10 holes left to report from the labs. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I think when you talk about that 160 meters, for somebody to visualize that, that's why I said, if you just drew a straight line and said, this is Soledad 1, drew another straight line above it, this is Soledad 2, and all of a sudden 160 meters away from that, we could potentially have Soledad 3.
No, well,
we
look,
don't know yet.
When we started this, when you put the land package together, you consolidated it. And I said, well, what's the target here? You said, look, the target is 200 million silver equivalent ounces. That's the potential we believe this hold. You then discovered the saddle target, which is a gold silver target. And you said that could be a game changer as far as increasing the expectation for the silver equivalent potential. And you now have the potential, what looks like clear as day to me, is a third structure that happens to be gold rich. So I'm not going to put you on the spot as to what you think the potential is now. I'll be kind on this go around, and I'll wait for the other 10 assays to come through. But is it fair to say is it fair to say, however, that you think it's a whole heck of a lot more now potentially than 200 million silver equivalent ounces?
We do, because you brought up a very important point, and that's the saddle target, and that's a target that it was identified. We had some historical information. Coeur had done work in the area. We got our hands on that, and we talk about that originally as a separate deposit in itself. That's a whole different target. It's 3 miles away from Soledad. So yeah, the blue sky there is good, and we hope, or we don't hope, we plan to drill that in 2026.
Well, listen, you mentioned patience. Patience isn't one of the virtues that I have mastered yet. There aren't many, by the way, but well worth the wait. I suspect that we won't have to wait as long for the next round of assays now that, it's been quite a bit between the financing and getting that buttoned up. And look, you're cashed up now and ready to drill 2 districts in 2026. But when do you anticipate the next batch of assays, given the fact that we've had some time now to process some holes?
I would think that we're going to see something here between now and Christmas. So in the next 3 weeks, I anticipate that you'll see news out on the company, and then we're going to start out 2026 in a bang. We're going to come out of the door and be ready to go. So again, I'm just going to say stay tuned, and patience is a virtue here. We along with a lot of supportive shareholders, Gerardo, we managed to increase the size of our placing. It still keeps the company with, just shy of 29 million shares outstanding. It's early days, and there's a lot of growth here that's going to happen.
Exciting times. I'd like to remind everybody that thinks they missed being early on Kingsmen that the market cap, despite the recent run, is still sub $50 million Canadian, which again, when we compare this to the Los Gatos, which of course is the most recent big transaction in the region, and yes, a much more advanced project clearly, but that went for 970 million US, and that was for 70% of it. So the runway between a sub $50 million market cap and drilling out not just one, but potentially 2 silver, gold, and gold, silver districts, there's a lot of meat left on that bone. I couldn't be more excited about assays here in the coming weeks, and I couldn't be more excited about 2026. Anything to add to that, Scott?
And you know what? Yeah, no, but before you leave, I just want to comment on one thing, and that is the narrative around Mexico that because you and I haven't talked in some time. And that is that, the first open pit permit was granted here in Mexico. I guess it was about 2.5 weeks ago. And that just adds to the positivity or the narrative around Mexico, because people were reluctant, looking at Mexico. Not that we're an open pit, we're not, we're an underground, but it's just the narrative around Mexico in general has changed. And I think it's going to continue to draw the attention of the majors.
No, well said. Scott, congrats again. Looking forward to the next batch of assays. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye, Gerardo.
All right, chat soon. Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.